I had become a mom that I had always thought that I don't want to give my child, a mom like that. I hit my child once, my younger one, and I slapped him so hard that I could see my four fingers on his face the whole day. And I kept on crying looking at it that, what am I doing? This is not what my kids deserve. This is not the mom they deserve. And I talked to my counselor that, I did this and I'm feeling so guilty about it. And that is when, slowly they convinced me that you need to take out time for yourself. You need to do something for yourself. And that's where everything turned around.
Hello and welcome back to An Woman. We're excited to welcome Moushmi Kapadia, a remarkable woman whose life took a turn after an unexpected event, leading her on an extraordinary journey of self discovery, resilience, and adventure. She's here to share her story of the depths of her emotional turmoil, lessons she's learned along the way, and the remarkable adventures that have defined her path. So thanks for joining us today, Moshmi. So, Moshmi, could you start by just telling us about that moment in your life which actually completely transformed how you live?
Um, well, I was, married at an age of 21. I had every Indian girl life till I was 24. That is when I conceived with my first child. Things were all, good till he turned one. When he started walking, we noticed a droop in his head. His head would tilt on one side completely, till an extent that his ear would touch his shoulder. And we started intervening as to what was the issue, why he was not able to hold his neck upright. And it took us a grueling 2.5 years to find out what the problem was. So that phase of my life, everything just crashed. Everything was to the lowest of it all. So I think that changed everything in my life.
Cope with all the challenges and the emotions that came with the diagnosis?
Yes, it was very difficult. And like I said, that, it took 2.5 years to just identify the problem. And that in those 2.5 years, we did numerous tests to find out what was the cause of the problem. And everything that we did, all the tests that we did turned out to be negative. We were happy and we were sad that we are not able to find out the problem, the cause. And when we did in November 2006, at that time, we just got to know the name of the disease, that it is, RSMD1, it is rigid spine muscular dystrophy, and it is a genetic disorder and there is no cure for it. So even when we found out the disease, it was just the name of it. There was nothing we could have done about it.
So, from in 2006, when you actually found out that he has been diagnosed with this, did you have any resources or any kind of support system to really understand what it entails and what their path is going to be like, apart from just what the doctors told you?
Yeah, we were completely relying on the doctors, but with God's grace, the best thing that we decided to do was we went to UK, London, where there was a hospital where the doctors who were pioneers in muscular dystrophy who were conducting researches. The head of muscular dystrophy, Dr. Francisco Montoni, we met him, and it was like he was the person who knew everything about the disease. So we were at the right place to learn about the disease, because henceforth all we had to do was to learn about the disease and how to maintain him as, a child with muscular dystrophy. So that was a boon for us, that, we were at the right place.
So many parents struggle with the feeling of guilt, right? Like the challenges as to why me? Why me? Why, not somebody else? Why me? Did you ever feel like that? And if so, how did you deal with it? How did you overcome that?
That was the first thing that came to my mind, that why my child? That a child who is, just two and a half, he has just come to this world. He has not done anything wrong to anyone. Why him? Why he has to go through all these pain? The medicines and the injections and the tests and everything. It was very painful. And yes, the why kept on coming to my mind. Yes, why my child, But then um, the second thought that also came to my mind was why anyone? I mean, how can I say why my child? It can be any child, and that I came to know when we took Vedansh for physiotherapy. When we came back, physiotherapy was a very crucial for his muscles. So his muscular dystrophy, the muscles kept on degenerating. So there was an kind of protein which was not generated in his body because of the disorder. Muscular dystrophy. That is a very standard. So we took him to physiotherapy here, and there I saw so many kids. They were way, way worse than what Vedansh was. Vedansh was weak physically, but he was very sharp mentally. He was very strong. His determination, his grit, and he never complained. He never. I wouldn't say he didn't cry or anything, but he never cribbed about it that, I don't want to do this. He never threw tantrums that, I won't do this or I won't get this test done. It was painful. He did cry, but he never threw tantrums. And that's what made me realize that when he who is suffering, he's not going, not complaining. Why should I be complaining? If he is taking it with so much of grace and so much of bravery, I should not be the one who is complaining. I'm not going through it. So till date, he is my source of motivation.
In a situation like this, where you're dealing with something that is totally unexpected, A, one doesn't have necessarily the knowledge, B, there aren't enough resources, maybe the expertise is not available around you. So, and even for the people around you, I mean, as a parent, because you're the one who's experiencing and has to be that support system for your child. So one takes on that onus to kind of get all the information that's needed and gets on that path. But at the same time, not everyone around you is at that same pace, right? So there is a little bit of a
Yes.
disconnect with your support system.
Yes.
Did you find that there was a struggle in that, or did you find that, that you had a good support system that you could actually rely on?
There was a struggle, I wouldn't deny, because, like you said, not everyone was at the same page. Genetic disorder, like 18 years back, it was a very new thing. I mean, not even the doctors I felt here around in India were very not aware about muscular dystrophy. So people around me, my parents, my in-laws, other people in the family, not everyone understood what is a genetic disorder. Because we had met the doctor, because we knew, because we understood the disorder, we accepted the fact that it is not curable. But the first instance after we came to know the disease was, let's cure him, okay, in whichever way possible. So if allopathy doesn't have a cure, let's try homeopathy, let's try Ayurvedic, let's try, home medicines. And so yes, we had to go through that uh, cycle of trying to cure him till everyone, especially the people around us, my support system, realized and accepted the fact that we cannot cure him, we have to maintain him. So initially it was rough, it was difficult. I couldn't have sailed through this alone. I needed support. I needed my family to be there because it was, as it is, not just mentally too overwhelming, even physically. Taking him to, he used to have hospital admissions too frequently, and they used to be like long and very severe ones. Usually, I mean, in India, I mean, I'm sure you know that if you get say cold and cough, there is a lot of home remedies that happen. That let's give this, let's give turmeric and honey, and so in Vedans, none of that worked because the severity was way higher. So in the beginning, there was this, disbalance of uh, things and understanding. But slowly, as time passed by, everyone accepted the fact that he can't be cured. It is better to maintain him. We have to make sure that he suffers the least.
So, Moshmi, I wanted to ask you, as a parent who's been through this journey and is now 18 years into it, you're probably in a position to sort of pull back and sort of identify a way that others could have supported you better, especially for parents who are starting on their journey. So, what are some of the things that, someone who's in that position can ask their support system? Because sometimes people don't know how to help.
Yes. I think the biggest issue I feel in this is when you yourself, as a mom, are somewhere feeling guilty or lacking that trust in yourself when you're too scared. You want to go by what he's saying, what she's saying, what the others are saying, that, oh, I don't know what I have to do, you know, because maybe I had not accepted the fact myself that this is not curable. So the first thing that changed my perspective was to accept the fact that it is not curable, and we have to live with that fact. Don't put your energy to change it. What the in the beginning, say a couple of years, what mistake I, as a parent or my support system, did was to cure him. We put all our energy, our time, our efforts, our money into trying to cure him. And after a couple of years, we were still there. So that is one thing that parents have to understand, that put your energy, your efforts, your money in the right direction. So that is one thing that I talk to parents, whoever comes to me, that, and there are many parents who came to me that, don't tell about this to anyone. So my child has this, but we have not told the family yet. Because in such kids, you don't see the effect of the disease in the early childhood. It's like it slowly grows and then it becomes a plateau. So in the early childhood days, they don't want to stay out in the open. So that is also non-acceptance. When you have not accepted, you don't want to tell anyone else. Once you accepted the fact, you will openly say that, yes, he has this problem. So that's what I still do when I talk to parents, that please accept the fact and don't, just be there for the child, understand him, try to support him rather than trying to cure him.
Maushmi, this brings to mind, when we sit in an aircraft and we're just about to take off, and they start to tell you everything. The exit is here. This is there, and the one thing that they always tell you is, when the masks drop, put your mask on first and then attend to your child, right? So this makes me want to ask you that, when you are going through all of this, how did you deal with your mental state? Because I think we as moms, we just go above and beyond for our children, above and beyond. There is no question. No one can question us. There's no doubt. If your child is sick, if your child is, hurting, if your child is in pain, there's no question. No one can come anywhere close to us when we're taking care of our children.
Yes.
And we forget about ourselves because we are so engrossed in our children's lives and their mental state, that we forget about us. So at what point did you realize that you needed help with your mental state? And when you did, what prompted you to take that step?
So, like very rightly you said that, every in those 5 years since we diagnosed Vedansh's disease, my life was about in and around Vedansh. So as soon as we got to know the disease, in the very next year, Vedansh was in 2007. Vedansh got a big pneumonia attack, and his left lung had collapsed. At that time, we were in Dubai, and he was admitted in the hospital there. But unfortunately, during that time, the medicine and emergency medicine was not good in Dubai. The hospitals were absolutely amazing. The facilities were there, but the doctors and the equipments that were required were not there to support him. And that is when I decided, the doctor there also, frankly told us that please take him back to India. He'll get better resources there. And that is when I took him back to India. I got him here, and the flight that we took, because he was removed from a ventilator, and that 3 hours flight, I had to literally slap him so that he doesn't fall off to sleep, because the doctor had said that if he falls off to sleep, he will slip in a coma. So it was such a dreadful flight that after that I decided that I don't want to go back to Dubai, because we knew that this will happen over and over again, and we cannot afford to do this. So that is when me and my husband decided that I will stay here with Vedansh, and he will stay there, as he had a job and he also needed to support us financially. After that, those 5 years, Vedansh kept on having hospital admissions and lung failures and pneumonia attacks. And, there were times that we had to do suction to remove cuff from his lung. Literally, I had to, wrap my finger with a cloth and put his, two fingers in his mouth so that he doesn't close it, because he was too young to let that tube go down his throat to his lungs to extract that, mucus out. So it was all so mentally draining, taxing, emotionally. Then I forgot about everything else. It was just, Vedant, to take him to physio, to what he eats. If he vomits, we were scared that, oh shit, he vomited, now he'll get an infection. So it was 24/7 about, in and around. And in that phase, in that 5 years of phase, I started getting angry. I started getting irritated. I started, throwing tantrums. Literally, I used to bang doors. That, it seemed like life wasn't going anywhere. I was in the same cycle over and over again, that he'll get admitted, he'll go and become better, he'll come back again, he'll get admitted. So it was because I was the only thing that I was doing, and like you rightly said, that I'd forgotten about everything. There was nothing that, I was doing for myself, or giving myself time, or doing something. So that led to frustration, that led to a lot of anger in me, and that led to depression. I slipped into depression, and I used to get thoughts like, I just want to go somewhere and never return back, or I just want to sleep and never get up again. And the best thing that happened to me during that time was, I have a very good friend of mine here, and I used to talk to her about everything, whatever used to come to my mind, how I used to feel. And she felt that something is not right. Mostly you're not in the right state of mind. So let's go and talk to a counselor. So she took me to a counselor, and that is where my, the treatment for my depression started. And it took me 3 years to come out of the depression that, I had gone into. And in that phase, I realized that I had become a mom that I had always thought that I don't want to give my child, a mom like that. I hit my child once, my younger one, and I slapped him so hard that I could see my four fingers on his face the whole day. And I kept on crying looking at it, that, what am I doing? This is not what my kids deserve. This is not the mom they deserve. And I talked to my counselor that, I did this and I'm feeling so guilty about it. And that is when, slowly they convinced me that you need to take out time for yourself. You need to do something for yourself. And that's where everything turned around. That is when I understood that I can't pour if I'm empty. I have to have in me to give it to my kids, if not anyone else. I can't keep them happy if I'm not happy. I was transferring my anxieties, my anger, my frustration onto them. So that was the point when I started working on myself, that I need to look after myself. I was turning into a mom that I had never wanted my kids to have. So that was the turning point of it all.
And what was the first thing you did, for yourself? Do you remember?
Yes, I loved sport. So since childhood, I had played a number of sports here and there, and I used to love playing tennis. So I went around, looked for lawn tennis classes, and I joined those classes and started playing tennis because that was something that made me happy. It was not just a form of exercise, but meditative for me. I started and I played, then I played tennis for like 7, 8 years then.
And so from there, you went on to, from tennis, you went on to trekking, traveling, and my biggest admiration for you, which is your bike riding. So tell us, I told you this even earlier that you truly, I truly have such high admiration for you. So I'm actually starting my bike license
Lovely.
pretty soon. But tell us more about yours. Tell us how you got onto that.
So after tennis happened, unfortunately, in that phase of depression, I had put on a lot of weight because of the medications that I was having and the unhealthy lifestyle. When you are in that phase of depression, you tend to eat a lot to fill that emptiness inside you. Playing tennis gave me that satisfaction, that happiness. In turn, it damaged my knees. So both my knees, they were damaged while I was playing tennis. So I had to stop or reduce playing that. And then I started working on my fitness. Now, I love dancing. And Zumba was, very new at that time in India in around 2011, 12. I have this thing in me that if I like something, I go all the way into it to learn it, to the best possible way. So I actually got certified as a Zumba trainer to learn the dance form in a proper way. So, but again, it created an impact on my knees because Zumba has a lot of pumping and jumping. So that is when I got into fitness. I got certified as a remote trainer to understand the aspect of fitness, understand the body anatomy and everything. Then trekking happened. Because I got fit, I wanted to test my endurance skills. That what can I do? You would believe in 2017 I went to my knee doctor and I was like, I want to go to Everest Base Camp. And he's like, what? I was like, yes, I want to do Everest Base Camp. And I don't know. I said, you have to, make me fit enough to go. He's like, if you want to, I'm sure you will be. And in 2018, I did my first trek, Everest Base Camp. That is how trekking started. And the year next to it, biking happened.
Moshmi, we, both of us have like great admiration for what you've done. And you know what we really love is all of your things for self-care seem to be physical in some way. I mean, there's no right or wrong in how one chooses to, chooses to do, whether it's art or dance or this thing. But do you think that, choosing something that has physical has actually helped your mental well-being as well? A, and B, doing what you have done, where you've created little pockets for yourself, has it changed the kind of person you are, not only in terms of the parent, but as a person and how you show up in the world?
Yes. So when I was taking counseling, when I used to go to my counselor, she used to tell me to take to do meditation, to do yoga, to meditate, to calm myself down. And I would lie, I did try, but I just couldn't. I have always been this more of an active kind of a person, So I told my counselor that for me, going on a trek is meditation. When I'm trekking, when I'm, to myself, when I'm riding, when I'm on my bike, that's meditation for me. I mean, it does, believe me, it does the same thing for me. So I think at the bottom line is you do what you like. And meditation is not necessary sit at one place, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Meditation can be anything. Meditation can be running marathons. Meditation can be dancing to loud music. Meditation can be riding a bike. Meditation can be trekking. Meditation can be traveling. So this is what I understood, and I kept on telling my counselor that please, 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 I'm not able to meditate as in, sit and breathe in and breathe out because my mind kept on running. But when I'm on my bike, it's just may the road and the bike, I'm thinking to myself, I'm talking to myself, I'm reflecting, what happened, why, I was calm. That is what meditation does to you, right? It calms you down, it calms your thought process. So I started, and like you rightly said, everything was very physical for me, whether it's tennis, whether it's Zumba, whether it's fitness, trekking, or biking. Everything, yes, everything was physical, but I think it it calmed me down. It filled a void inside me and made me happy. And I think at the end of the day, whoever you are, whether you are a parent, whether you are a wife, whatever role you are playing, and not just, I'm not saying this for women. It's not gender based. As a human, you have to be happy. In whatever you are doing. If you are unhappy, if you are not satisfied, it's going to reflect everywhere, whether it's your work, it's your house, it's your relationship, everywhere. So keeping oneself happy is the foremost thing that you have to do. And in India especially, the title of mother is so glorified that adjust, accommodate, sacrifice. These are all synonyms to motherhood. So, I think women, the first thing that they have to unlearn the glorification of motherhood. So, if you do anything for yourself, you are selfish. I used to hear this so much that, what kind of a mom are you that you have a special child and you're roaming around? You're going on trips, you're going on trekking, you're riding your bike. Very typically in Hindi said, "Ghumti rehti hai." you know, that you're not bothered. That I said, will staying back in the house crying over my child, that, oh, my child has this, will cure him, will make any difference? No. There were some years in the beginning when I was still trying to justify what I was doing, trying to give people explanation that I'm doing this for myself. But then at certain point, I realized that they are not going to understand. It's I who have to understand that I'm doing this for myself. That is enough. Yeah. When I started living for myself, I started doing things that kept me happy, content, and I felt that reflecting on both the kids, because when I started staying happy, you know, I saw it on my kids as well. So that made me even more determined to do what I was doing. I wouldn't say I was not feeling guilty in the beginning. Yes, I had that guilt of not being around my child for all the time. But then slowly, that faded off.
Yeah, I do agree with you that I think after you stop feeling that guilt of not being, because as a mom you're trying very hard any which way. We're proud of you that you took the time to realize that if I'm not happy and if I'm not going to take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to take care of my children or my family. With all your Zumba, your trekking, the motorcycle riding, all of that fun stuff, what is the most memorable and or the most challenging experience that you went through?
I think the very first two trips, one was trekking and the other was biking. The trekking, like I said, was to Everest Base Camp, and biking was to Leh Ladakh. Now, both these places, they were quite demanding physically, but I was up there because I had prepared well for it physically. But mentally, the challenge that I faced. Of being completely disconnected. Now, both these places, after a certain point, you can't be reached because there are no networks. There is no way possible that you can be reached or contacted. So, on the first trip that I had gone, the moment I went out of range, that fear started hitting me. And what if something happens? What if Vedansh has an infection? What if he has to be hospitalized and I'm not able to, nobody can contact me or reach out to me? So that fear stayed at the back of my head. So I think that was the most challenging thing to overcome. as mom. And the same thing happened in Ladakh. Again, there were days where there's no way possible. Only satellite phones used to reach that particular place. In the beginning, my family wasn't very convinced about me going on a bike ride because they found it very risky. That anything can happen. What if an accident happens? So one, I was scared that what if something happens to me and they'll be like, see, we told you not to do this. But I was very, very adamant that no, I want to do this. I want to go to Leh Ladakh on my bike. So that was one. And the other was the same again, that what if something happens to me? What about my kids? Who will be there for them? It's like, uh, I wouldn't say I was guilty. I was scared. I was very, very scared. And sometimes on that trip, if I get a call from home, the first thing that used to come to my mind that hope this is a normal call. I hope there's no bad news. So that was difficult to handle rather than any other challenge, whether it was physical or the emotional mental part was challenging.
And what was the most significant learning? Like what through this, how has your personal growth experience been through all of this?
Like as a person, if I see myself, say 15 years back, 15, 18 years back, I was someone who was very frustrated, angry, dissatisfied, a lot of grudges, a lot of complaints with life. Why this? Why this could not have been like this? Why my child? And now, compared to that Moushmi, say 15 years back, I'm way more satisfied. I'm happy. I'm content. I feel that I have done something for myself. So in one of the interviews when I was talking to someone, I was like, if something happens to me tomorrow, if I die tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I've developed this attitude or this thought process that there is no point in holding on to the problem. If you can, you solve it. If you can't, accept it. If you can, change it. But sitting with that problem, I think that is what has happened to me as a person. That I have become that person who doesn't sit and cry over things. What next? That is what I have become probably.
It reminds me of that saying from the Hindi movie, "Ji le apni zindagi, Simran ji le."
Jile, yes, yeah. I have taken that train.
Ji le apni zindagi. So, so what are your future goals, Moushmi? Goals, your plans, both in terms for you, for your son's development, and for your own adventures. Like, what are your plans? What are your goals?
Well, as far as my kids go, they both are doing quite well with their lives. My younger one is studying still, but he has chosen a field. He wants to be in science and food field. My elder one, Vedansh, we have an ice cream parlor here in Mumbai. He is handling the operations of that. Learning. He's at a learning stage, but those are those practical lessons for him. And as for me, I mean, I tell my husband, my bucket list has a hole. It's always going to keep on filling and keep on. It's never going to have something to do. I mean, if this is one thing I come back from, I'm like, next I want to do this.
Good for you. Amen to that. This has, Moushmi, truly, this has been an inspiring conversation. We want to thank you for your time and just, joining us in this conversation. It has been so inspiring just listening to you. And I speak on behalf of Bettina as well. Sadly, her video got disconnected. But we would like to thank you, our listeners, for joining in today. We hope you'll join us again for our episode, which comes out every week. We can be found at nriwoman.com or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just look for NRI Woman. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please get in touch with us. hello@nriwoman.com or tweet us at NRI_women. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at NRI Woman Podcast. Please help us spread the stories of these amazing women by sharing it with your friends and family. You can find the details to connect with the guest in our show notes. NRI Women episodes come out every Thursday, so make sure you subscribe. Until next time, keep learning, keep inspiring, and always be kind.